The lonely girl on Earth, Lyra, was not like the other kids. She lived in a small town at the edge of the city, where the sky was often gray and the nights were quiet. She didn't have a family, no mother, no father, only the people at the orphanage, who never really cared much. They gave her food, a bed, and rules, but never love. She always felt something was missing, something big. At school, Lyra didn't talk much. Other students called her strange. She didn't play. She didn't smile. She just watched the sky during lunch breaks. While others laughed, Lyra stared at the clouds, wondering why she felt like she didn't belong. Sometimes, in her dreams, she saw lights, not normal lights. Big, bright, moving lights in the sky, stars spinning, ships flying, and a woman with glowing eyes calling her name. Lyra. She always woke up before she could answer. Just a dream, she told herself. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. One evening, Lyra walked alone near the old train tracks. The wind was cold and the town lights flickered behind her. She liked to walk here. It was the only place no one followed her. But tonight was different. She felt someone watching her. She turned quickly. At first, no one was there, only the shadows. Then, under a street lamp, she saw him, a tall man in a dark coat. He wasn't moving, just standing and looking at her. She stepped back. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice shaking. The man didn't answer at first. Then, in a calm but serious voice, he said, "They're coming for you." Before Lyra could speak, again he disappeared into the darkness. She ran home. Her heart was beating fast. Her mind was racing. Who was that man? And what did he mean? Later that night, in her small room at the orphanage, Lyra sat on her bed, trying to stay calm. She looked around the room, old books, broken toys, and a small box of her things. Suddenly, something strange happened. Her light bulb started to flicker. Then the screen of her tablet turned on by itself. It flashed white and then black. Then, the whole room went dark for 2 seconds before returning to normal. "What is happening?" she whispered. She opened the drawer under her bed to find her flashlight. But instead she found something else. A strange metal object. It was about the size of her hand, cold to the touch and shaped like a triangle. She had never seen it before. It had smooth edges and a blue light blinked in the center. "Where did this come from?" she said. She held it up. Suddenly the blinking light turned into a line. Then the line became a map. A star map, floating in front of her. Her mouth opened in shock. This wasn't human technology. She had read books, watched videos. Nothing on Earth looked like this. As she stared at the map, one of the stars started glowing brighter. Then a voice came from the device. "Lyra." Her heart stopped. It was the same voice from her dreams. The voice of the woman with glowing eyes. She dropped the device. The map vanished. Was she going crazy? No. This was real. She picked it up again, and this time nothing happened. It was just cold metal once more. She couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, strange things kept happening. When she touched the metal rail at school, it shocked her, but no one else felt it. When she walked into a classroom, the lights flickered again. People started to whisper, "She's weird." Is she cursed? Maybe it's ghosts. Lyra just stayed quiet. She didn't care about the other kids, but she was scared of what was happening. At lunch, she sat alone as usual. But today she saw the man in the dark coat again. He was standing across the street pretending to read a newspaper. He wasn't reading, he was watching her, and this time he wasn't alone. Next to him was a woman in a gray suit, talking into a device. She nodded toward Lyra. Lyra got up and ran. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she had to get away. As she turned a corner, someone grabbed her arm. Hard. She screamed. But the voice that spoke was calm. "I'm not here to hurt you," said the same man. "But you need to know the truth. They've found you, and you're not who you think you are." The stranger's warning. The man's grip on her arm was firm but not painful. "Listen to me," he said quickly. "I don't have much time. They're watching." Lyra pulled back. "Who are you? Why are you following me?" The man looked around, his eyes scanning the street. "My name is Cade. I've been keeping you safe. But it's getting harder. They know you've started waking up." "Waking up?" she whispered. "What does that mean?" Before he could answer, a black car slowly turned into the street. The windows were dark. Too dark. Lyra felt cold just looking at it. The engine was silent, like it floated instead of rolled. Cade's voice dropped. "Run, now." He pushed her into a narrow alley. "Follow the lights, don't stop, I'll find you." Then he turned and walked toward the car. Lyra didn't move at first. She was frozen, scared, confused, but her legs took over. She ran. The alley was long and full of shadows. Neon signs from shops above flickered strangely, guiding her forward. Red, green, blue. One of the signs even blinked in a language she didn't recognize. Symbols she felt like she should understand. She kept running. Behind her, she heard a soft hum, like something rising into the air. Then, silence. She turned a corner and nearly crashed into a man pushing a cart. He shouted at her, but she didn't stop. She didn't even look back. After 10 minutes, her legs hurt. Her lungs burned. She finally reached a quiet, abandoned train station at the edge of the city. The place was broken, forgotten. No cameras, no people, just rust and wind. And waiting for her was Cade. She stared at him in shock. "How did you get here?" "You're not the only one with secrets," he said, and smiled. But his smile was tired, almost sad. "What's happening to me?" Lyra asked. Cade took off his coat and placed it on a broken bench. He sat down, motioning for her to do the same. "You've been lied to," he said. "Your whole life." Lyra didn't speak. She just listened. "You're not fully human, Lyra. You were hidden here on Earth for protection. There was a war, a long time ago. Your parents were part of it. They were from a race not of this planet, but peaceful, strong. They believed in life, in unity, in building." Lyra shook her head. "No, this isn't real. This is crazy." Cade reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small device, round, silver, glowing faintly. He placed it on the ground. A projection appeared. It was a woman. Tall, silver hair, glowing eyes. The same voice Lyra had heard in her dreams. "Lyra," the woman said, "if you're hearing this, then they've found you. And I'm sorry. We couldn't protect you forever. But remember who you are. You are not weak. You are not alone." The image faded. Lyra sat in silence. Her hands were shaking. Is that my mother?" Cade nodded. "How is this possible?" she asked. "How do you know all this?" "Because I was one of the soldiers who helped your parents during the war," he said. "I saw them fight. I saw them fall. And I made a promise. That if anything ever came after you, I'd protect you." Lyra stood up. "This doesn't make sense. If all this is true, why now? Why is it starting now?" "Because your powers are connected to your age, your emotions, your mind," Cade explained. "Your alien DNA has been sleeping, but it's waking up, and that's why they are coming." "Who are they?" she asked. Cade's face turned hard. "They are not like your people. They are destroyers, colonizers. They wiped out your world, and now they want to make sure no survivors remain. Not even you." A deep sound came from above. They looked up. A ship, smooth, black, silent, passed across the sky. Not visible to the human eye, but to Lyra, it shimmered. "They're scanning," Cade said. "We need to move." "Wait," Lyra said. "That object I found under my bed, what is it?" "Your mother left it for you," he said. "It's a key to something much bigger, something buried under this planet." Only you can unlock it. What does it open? Your past, your power, and maybe a way to stop all of this. Lyra looked at the sky again. The stars seemed brighter now, closer. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel small. She felt heavy. Not with fear, but with purpose. Okay, she said. What do we do now? Cade smiled. We prepare, because this time, humanity won't just hide you. We'll fight with you. Lyra looked at her hands. They were still human, but now she knew something inside them wasn't, and the war that killed her parents was not over yet. Hidden powers awaken. Night had never felt so alive. Lyra walked beside Cade through a narrow underground tunnel lit only by flickering lights. Above them, the city slept. But below, everything was changing. Her thoughts were racing. She was not human, not fully. The voice of the woman, her mother, still echoed in her mind. You are not alone. The strange device she found under her bed, the black ship in the sky. And now, this man who said he fought beside her parents in a forgotten war. How much more was hidden? Where are we going? She asked. Somewhere safe, Cade replied. And somewhere dangerous. That doesn't make sense. He gave a half smile. It will soon. After 20 minutes of walking, they reached a steel door. It was old, rusted, but still strong. Cade pulled a keycard from his jacket and scanned it. The door opened with a heavy groan. Inside was a large room, cold, dark, and silent. But on the far wall, something glowed. A pod, shaped like an egg, stood in the center. Metal cables connected it to the floor. Blue lights pulsed on its surface like a heartbeat. Lyra stepped closer. She could feel it vibrating, calling to her. What is this? She asked. Your mother left it here, Cade said. Before she died. She told me that one day when you were ready, it would recognize you. What's inside and answers. Lyra reached out and touched it. The pod responded instantly. The lights turned bright white and a soft humming filled the air. Then, it opened. A beam of light shot out and scanned her from head to toe. Lyra flinched, but the light didn't hurt. It felt warm, comforting. Like someone placing a hand on her shoulder, a voice came from the pod, soft and mechanical. Identity confirmed. Lyra, daughter of Ellen and Cale. Activation beginning. Lyra looked at Cade. What does that mean? He didn't answer. Suddenly, a circle of symbols appeared around her feet. They glowed and floated, spinning slowly in the air. This is ancient tech, Cade whispered. Even I don't understand all of it. Then Lyra screamed. A bolt of light shot from the pod into her chest. Not painful, but overwhelming. Memories, images, energy, all rushed into her at once. She saw planets burning, alien ships fighting in space, her mother holding her as a baby, her father shouting in a strange language. Codes, maps, lights. Then darkness. She fell to the ground. When she opened her eyes, the room was glowing around her, but not from the pod, from her. Her skin shimmered faintly with a silver light. Her eyes reflected star patterns. What's happening to me? She asked, her voice shaking. Cade stepped back, shocked. Your powers are waking up. This is just the start. I feel everything, Lyra said. The air, the ground, even you, your fear. Suddenly an alarm blared from Cade's wrist device. He looked down and cursed. They found us. We have to move. Who? Lyra asked. The black suits, the ones hunting you. They tracked the activation signal. From the ceiling, dust began to fall. The tunnel above was shaking. Lyra, Cade said, can you use your power? I don't know how, she said. Then try. Now. Just as he spoke, the steel door behind them exploded open. A group of agents in black armor stormed in, armed, with glowing weapons. One of them pointed at Lyra. Subject located, eliminate on sight. They fired. Instinct took over. Lyra raised her hands and the air cracked like glass. A shield of glowing energy formed in front of her, stopping the blast. Her eyes widened in shock. "I didn't mean to do that." "Don't stop," Cade shouted. "Keep going." She stepped forward. The agents fired again. This time the shield shattered, but not before buying her a second to react. Her hands moved on their own. Energy flowed from her palms like liquid fire. The ground split, sending a wave of force through the room. 3 agents were thrown back. The others hesitated. They had not expected this. Neither had she. Lyra breathed hard. Her heart was racing. Her whole body was shaking. But not from fear, from power. "Get behind me," she said to Cade. He nodded and drew his weapon. "You're learning fast." "I don't have a choice." They fought side by side, human and half alien. Each move Lyra made was more controlled, more confident. Energy pulsed from her fingertips like she'd always known how to use it. Finally, the last agent fell unconscious. Silence returned. Lyra looked around the room. The pod had gone dark. Her hands were still glowing. "What am I becoming?" she whispered. Cade looked at her with something close to awe. "You're becoming what they were afraid of." "What does that mean?" "It means you're the last hope. And now the war begins again." She looked at the broken door. The agents had been defeated, but more would come. "Let them," Lyra said softly. And for the first time, she wasn't running anymore. Escape with the human rebel smoke filled the air. The underground room was falling apart. Walls cracked, lights shattered, and pieces of metal lay scattered across the floor. Lyra stood in the center, breathing heavily. Her body was glowing faintly, her hands trembling. Cade helped her to her feet. "We need to move," he said. "They're not done. That was just a scout team." Lyra looked at the fallen agents. Still, silent, defeated. For a moment she felt powerful, untouchable, but only for a moment. "I don't know how I did that," she whispered. "You didn't learn it," Cade replied. "You remembered it. It's inside you. It always was." The ground shook again. Something heavy was landing above them. "Is that a ship?" she asked. Cade nodded grimly. "Yes, they're dropping a crawler, a hunter unit. If it finds you, it won't stop." He led her through a broken tunnel behind the pod room. The tunnel was narrow, filled with dust and strange metal pipes that didn't look like human tech. "What's this place?" she asked. "An old safe house. Built with leftover tech from the last alliance. Most humans don't even know it exists." "Alliance?" "Long story. Short version. Earth made a promise once, to protect the children of a fallen world. Your world." They climbed a rusted ladder up to a surface hatch. Cade scanned it with his wrist device, and the hatch opened with a sharp hiss. Above them, night had fallen again. But the sky was not empty. A massive black crawler hovered in the air. It was shaped like an insect, legs hanging low, scanning lights moving across the buildings. Lyra and Cade ducked into the shadows. "How do we get out?" she asked. "There's a hidden transport point 3 blocks away," Cade said. "It'll take us to the edge of the city. From there we head to the human resistance base." "Humans are fighting too?" He looked at her. "We never stopped." They ran through the alleyways, careful not to step into the crawler's light. The machine made no sound, just a low hum that seemed to press on their bones. They passed a wall painted with strange red marks. Lyra paused. "I've seen this symbol before." "You should have," Cade said. "Your people used it during the war. It means hope." As they turned the corner, 2 shadowy figures stepped out. Not enemies. They were humans, both dressed in worn combat gear, their faces scarred, eyes alert. They carried weapons that looked custom-made, part human, part alien tech. You brought her? One of them asked. Cade nodded. She activated the pod. She's ready. Lyra looked at them, confused. Who are they? Friends, Cade said. Fighters, rebels. The man gave Lyra a long look. You don't look like a threat. Looks lie, Lyra replied. He smiled faintly. Good answer. They led her to a secret tunnel beneath an old parking garage. At the bottom, hidden, behind layers of broken concrete, was a round metal ring. It looked like a door, but standing. What is that? Lyra asked. A jump gate, the rebel woman said. Short range, alien tech. Your mother helped us build it before everything. They stepped inside. With a soft pulse, the gate activated. The world bent around them, not violently, but like slipping through a dream. When they landed, the air was colder, fresher. They were in the mountains. Snow covered the peaks, and below them, hidden deep in a valley, was a massive underground facility. Welcome to Stronghold Theta, Cade said. The last human-alien resistance base on Earth. They entered through a camouflage door in the cliffside. Inside, everything changed. There were humans, engineers, soldiers, scientists. Some wore uniforms, some wore scraps, and some looked like Lyra. Tall, silver-eyed, quiet. They're like me, she whispered. Cade nodded. Survivors, hidden for years, waiting for you. For me? You're not just any child of the stars, Lyra. You're their signal, their proof that the bloodline lives. Your parents weren't just warriors. They were leaders. Your mother was heir to the throne. And now, I'm next, Lyra finished quietly. Suddenly, an alarm echoed through the base. A soldier ran up. They found us. The crawler. Track the jump gate signal, Cade cursed. We don't have long. The rebel commander walked over. Can she fight? Cade looked at Lyra. Can you? Lyra closed her eyes. She could feel the energy in her veins like fire and stars flowing together. She was scared, but not weak. I won't let them take this from me again, she said. The commander handed her a small device. Your father used one like this. It responds to thought. Lyra touched it. The device shifted, changing shape in her hand, forming a silver blade of light. She stared at it. It knows me. The commander smiled. Good. Then lead us. The battle began minutes later. Black ships fell from the sky. Metal beasts crawled over the mountains. But the humans did not run. Not this time. They stood with her. And Lyra, glowing, fierce, no longer afraid, stood at the front. The war had returned, but so had hope. The truth about the war, the battle was over, at least for now. Black smoke rose from the valley. Pieces of alien machines lay broken across the mountain cliffs. Inside the rebel base, people moved fast, checking injuries, repairing systems, and preparing for the next wave. But Lyra stood still. Her hands still glowed faintly, but her mind felt heavy. She had fought, really fought. Not in training, not by accident, but with purpose. Her power was real now, and dangerous. She sat alone in a quiet chamber deep inside the base. The walls were smooth silver with blue lights pulsing like veins. This room had no windows, no noise, only silence and secrets. Cade entered slowly, carrying a metal box. It looked old, scarred by time and war. Your mother left this for you, he said, placing it in front of her. Why didn't you show me earlier? Lyra asked. Because it only opens when you're ready, he said. And now you are. Lyra reached out. As soon as her fingers touched the box, it clicked. The top slid open, revealing a small crystal sphere. Inside the sphere floated thousands of glowing symbols, alien letters, maps, and faces. Lyra touched it gently and the room changed. A projection filled the air. Her mother appeared again, taller, prouder, dressed in shining white armor with a royal crest on her chest. "Daughter," the message began, "if you're seeing this, then the shadows have returned, and you must know the truth." The image shifted. A planet appeared. Green oceans, golden cities, floating towers. This was our home, our world, Ilaris. Then it burned. Ships attacked from the sky, sharp, black, merciless. Fire and lightning rained down. Cities fell. Screams echoed. The Zolari came without warning. Her mother said, "They wanted control. They wanted our minds, our tech, our gifts. And when we refused, they called it treason." Lyra's heart ached. She had seen this in her dreams. Flashes, fire, light. Now it was real. "Your father and I led the resistance. Your father was a warrior. I was next in line to rule. We thought we could win. We were wrong." The image showed her father, a strong, proud figure with eyes like Lyra's. He fought beside humans and aliens alike. He was not just brave, he was loyal. "When our last city fell, we sent you away," her mother continued. "You were only a baby. We trusted the humans, not just as allies, but as friends. Earth was not just a hiding place. It was chosen. Because the Zolari fear humanity." Lyra blinked. "Why?" she whispered aloud, as if the message heard her. The next scene answered. Humans fighting Zolari. No ships, no powers, just strength, strategy, rage. Humans didn't have advanced tech, but they fought harder than anyone. They adapted. They survived. "Humans are not gifted," her mother said. "But they are something more dangerous. Free, unpredictable, impossible to fully control. That is why they fear you most, Lyra, because you are both." The projection ended. Lyra sat in silence. Her hands shook. Her parents had died saving her. The humans had hidden her. And the Zolari wanted to erase her very existence. Cade finally spoke. "You understand now?" Lyra nodded slowly. "I'm not just a survivor, I'm a threat. To them, yes, and also a symbol. To us. Why are they still hunting me, even after all?" This time, Cade hesitated. "Because there's one more truth. Something your mother never recorded." He pressed a button on his wrist. Another projection began. This time, a secret meeting. It showed alien generals, rebel humans, and a tall Zolari commander speaking in code. "This was recorded during the last months of the war," Cade explained. "We learned something terrifying." The Zolari commander held up a strange black crystal. "This," he said, "contains the soul print of the air. If we cannot kill her, we will rewrite her, reshape her, turn her against them, and she will destroy Earth herself." Lyra stood up, cold fear rising in her chest. "What does that mean?" "You're more than a girl with power, Lyra," Cade said. "You're a weapon they plan to control. They failed the first time, but if they find you again, they'll try to change me," Lyra said. "Yes, twist your mind, erase your past, turn you into their voice, and use you to crush everything left standing." Lyra clenched, her fists. Her light flared sharp and wild. "Then they won't find me. Not broken, not controlled, not ever again." Cade placed a hand on her shoulder. "There's more." "More?" He walked to the wall and pressed a panel. A hidden door opened. Inside was a deep chamber, filled with stasis pods, dozens of them. Inside each pod slept someone like her, young, alien, glowing faintly, dreamless. "The last children of Ilaris," Cade said. "Your people, frozen to keep them alive. Waiting. Why haven't they been woken? Because the crystal you carry, the one inside you, is the key. Only the true heir can unlock them." Lyra stepped toward the pods. Her light pulsed brighter. The children inside stirred slightly, and she understood. This was not just about survival anymore. This was about returning, about rebuilding what was lost. And for the first time in her life, Lyra wasn't just part of a war. She was the center of it. Unlocking her destiny, the chamber was silent. Lyra stood before the glowing stasis pods, each holding a child from her lost world. Her people, frozen in time, survivors of a war they never got to finish. And now, they were waiting for her. The crystal in her chest, the one that activated her powers, began to pulse. It responded to the energy in the room as if calling to the others. The lights above flickered. The air grew heavy with power. Cade watched from the doorway. Even he didn't fully understand what was happening. No one did, because this hadn't happened before. Lyra stepped closer to the nearest pod. Inside, a boy about her age floated quietly. His skin shimmered slightly, like hers. He looked peaceful, but not alive. Not yet. "Can I really do this?" she asked, her voice low. "You don't need to ask," Cade said. "You already are." She placed her hand on the pod's surface. A sound filled the chamber. Not mechanical, not digital. It was something older, deeper, like a song written in the bones of the stars. Symbols lit up around her feet, ancient ones. Then, without warning, the pod hissed open. The boy inside gasped, his eyes flying open, bright silver just like hers. He looked at her in shock. "You woke me." "Yes," she said softly. Then the line was not broken, he whispered. "The air lives." His words echoed through the room like thunder. More pods began to blink, slow at first, then faster. Lyra turned, eyes wide. Dozens of children were stirring. Their hearts remembered her. Their minds reached out. Their queen had returned. Cade stepped back, overwhelmed. "This is it. This is what your mother meant. You're not just a symbol. You're the spark." "I'm not ready," Lyra said. "You think she was?" Cade asked. "Your mother led armies when she was just older than you. Leaders are never ready. They become ready." "How?" "By doing what no one else can." Lyra took a breath and closed her eyes. She reached inward, to the crystal within her, to the memories she carried, to the pain of her parents' loss, and to the strength of her human side. She spoke in a language she had never learned, and yet knew by heart. "Wake, rise. Remember who we are." The entire room lit up. One by one, the pods opened. The children stepped forward, blinking at the light. Some cried. Some held each other. Some simply stared at her, eyes wide with awe. A young girl stepped forward, trembling. "We thought we were lost forever." Lyra knelt. "Not anymore." Hours later, the command chamber was alive. The OA resistance base buzzed with new life. Scientists and soldiers tried to understand the alien tech coming to life across the facility. Doors that hadn't opened in decades now slid open. Machines powered by thought alone hummed awake. And Lyra stood in the heart of it all. A new suit covered her now, not armor, but something living, woven from energy and memory. It responded to her body, protected her, strengthened her. The ancient ship, the one her parents left buried under the mountains, one was waking up too. Engineers called it the Starborn. Its power core had been dead for years, until now. "We need to get you inside," said Commander Hale, leader of the resistance. "That ship only listens to royal blood." "Then let's not keep it waiting," Lyra said. Inside the hangar, the ship stood like a sleeping dragon, smooth metal curves, glowing veins of light, and a faint hum like a heartbeat. Lyra stepped aboard. The ship lit up instantly. Symbols danced across the walls. Control panels floated in the air. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Welcome, Highborn." Command recognized. Destiny sequence unlocked. Cade stared in disbelief. "It knows you?" Lyra smiled faintly. "I think it's been waiting for me." The ship's core began to rotate, slowly, then faster. Then the projection appeared, her mother again. Not a message, but a full memory. She stood at the front of the ship, holding Lyra as a baby. This ship was built for you, she said, her voice calm. Not as a weapon, not as a throne, but as a bridge between our people and theirs. Cade stepped beside Lyra. Between humans and your kind. I was never meant to choose between them, Lyra said softly. I am both. The lights in the ship flared, not in warning, but in acceptance. Later that night, Lyra stood on the balcony of the highest tower. The stars above seemed closer now, like they knew her name. Below, the resistance trained, humans and aliens side by side. The children she'd awakened were learning fast. People were not broken, just sleeping. Now they were rising. Cade walked up beside her. Tomorrow we launch. To where? To orbit. The Zolari have built a gate near the moon. They're bringing something through. Something big. Lyra turned toward him. What kind of something? Cade hesitated. We're not sure. But we know one thing. If it gets through, Earth falls. Then we stop it. You'll lead the charge? No, Lyra said. I'll lead them. Not as a weapon, not as a queen, but as the voice of both worlds. She looked at the stars again, brighter than ever. The Zolari wanted to erase me, she said. But now, I'll make sure they remember me forever. The final stand, human and alien together. The stars were no longer silent. Earth's orbit had become a battlefield. Black ships moved like predators between the clouds and the moon, casting long shadows across space. In the middle of it all floated something ancient. A massive gate, not built by humans, nor fully by the Zolari. It was older, darker, awake. From it, a storm was coming. On the surface, resistance bases across the world prepared for what would be their last fight. But above them, at the edge of space, one ship rose first. The starborn Lyra stood at the front of the bridge, surrounded by lights and floating displays. Her crew was behind her. A mix of rebels, awakened Alaris children, and elite human pilots. They didn't all speak the same language, but they all had the same mission. Stop the Zolari, or lose everything. Cade stepped up beside her, helmet in hand. Gate will open in minutes. They're going to bring something through, something massive. We need to get close, Lyra said, before it activates. You sure the ship can take it? The ship's not the key. She said, I am. Outside the ship, stars rippled. The gate pulsed once. Then again. On the third pulse, it opened. A monstrous shadow began to emerge. Not a ship. A living construct. Zolari biotech, miles long. Not built to fly. Built to consume. Built to rewrite anything it touched. It had no face, no bridge, no pilot. It was pure memory erasure, designed to wipe worlds from existence down to the atoms. They call it the Void Eater, said one of the Alaris engineers. Our world's last city fell to it. Cade looked at Lyra. Can you stop something like that? Lyra didn't answer. She closed her eyes and called the light. Her body lifted from the floor, just inches. Her veins glowed with the power of both her bloodlines, alien and human. The ship responded to her instantly, powering up like a heart sinking to hers. The crew watched in silence. Then she spoke, not just to them, but across every rebel frequency, human or alien. This is Lyra, daughter of Ellen and Kale, last of Alaris, defender of Earth. If you hear my voice, then you still believe we're worth saving. So stand. Now. With me. Human ships launched across the planet, hidden satellites powered up, ground cannons turned to the sky, and above them all, Lyra's ship led the charge. The Void Eater fired first. Dark energy beams ripped through orbit, breaking apart one of the resistance cruisers. But before the second beam struck, Lyra reached out her hand and caught it. The energy bent around her. It didn't destroy her. It fed her. Inside her mind, memories flashed. Her mother holding her as a baby, her father roaring into battle, Cade bleeding in a snowfield, refusing to give up. She didn't block the darkness, she rewrote it. On the ground, the Zolari launched their final wave. Ships poured from hidden bases. Mechs marched across deserts. The sky turned red with fire. But the humans didn't retreat. From bunkers, forests, and cities, they rose. Ordinary people. Miners. Teachers. Old soldiers. They fired scrap cannons, piloted rusty mechs, hacked alien tech with shaking finger, and held the line. Because Lyra had made them believe they weren't just fighting for Earth. They were fighting for both worlds. Back in space, Lyra reached the heart of the Void Eater. "Cade," she said through the comm, "I'm going inside. You'll die in there." "Maybe," she said, "but if I don't go in, we all die anyway." The Starborn pierced through the outer shell. Inside, the walls pulsed like a beating heart. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive. And inside that living machine was the original Zolari core, a crystal as black as a starless night. The same kind of crystal they once tried to put inside her. As she approached it, the ship's systems began to break down. The Zolari core was fighting back. "Don't listen," a voice whispered in her mind. "You're not human. You don't belong with them. We can make you perfect. You were ours first." Lyra's body shook. Flashes of pain filled her head. Voices, screams, old memories that weren't hers. She dropped to her knees. But then, she heard a different voice. Small. Real. Cade's. "Lyra, you're stronger than them. Not because of your power, but because of your choice. You chose to be both, and that makes you more than either." She stood, and for the first time, she smiled. She stepped into the core, her body glowing like a newborn star. "You want my mind?" she said. "Then take it, and choke on the fire inside." She placed her hand on the core, and rewrote it from the inside out. In seconds, the Void Eater began to collapse, not explode, dissolve. Like ink pulled from water, like a nightmare finally waking up. Zolari ships across the sky stopped moving. Their systems froze. Their control died. And with it, so did their war. Hours later, Lyra returned, alive. Barely. Cade caught her before she fell. "You did it," he whispered. "We did," she replied. Days passed. The Zolari retreated from Earth space. A peace council began. Human leaders and Alaris survivors sitting at the same table. Cities began to rebuild. The sky was blue again. And at the heart of the resistance, now called the Unity Alliance, stood a girl no longer running. Lyra, no longer hidden, no longer hunted, no longer alone. Epilogue. She stood on the edge of Earth's orbit once more, looking down at the planet that raised her. A message was being sent across space. To any survivors, to any forgotten worlds, to anyone still afraid. I am Lyra. I was made to be erased, but I became something else. I became hope.